The crystal blue waters of Aquatica Prime had never seen warships before. Elder Hana pressed her webbed hands against the coral walls of the council chamber, feeling the vibrations through the living structure. Something was wrong in the deep currents. The sea itself seemed afraid. "Show me the reports again," she said to her aide, Kai. Her voice carried the musical quality of her people, but worry made it sharp. Kai swam forward with a bio-tablet made from living coral. The device glowed softly as images appeared in the water before them. Hana's large dark eyes widened as she saw the destruction. 3 outer colonies had gone silent in the past week. The last transmission from Reef's End showed massive metal, ships descending from the stars like falling mountains. "The survivors say the ships came without warning," Kai reported. "They spoke in harsh sounds through machines. They said our water worlds now belong to something called the Dominion." Hana's gills fluttered with distress. Her people had lived in peace for thousands of years. They grew their cities from living coral, traveled in ships made from giant sea creatures, and solved problems through discussion. The idea of conquest was foreign to them. "Where is Commander June?" she asked. "In the deep trenches training our defense forces," Kai replied. "But Elder Hana, our weapons are designed for hunting sea predators. These invaders have technology that can destroy entire cities from space." Through the chamber's transparent walls, Hana could see the capital city of Pearl Reach spreading in all directions. Thousands of her people lived in the beautiful coral towers that rose from the sea floor. Families of Tidari swam between the structures, their blue-green skin glowing faintly in the filtered sunlight. Children played in kelp forests while their parents tended biogardens. None of them knew that death was coming from the stars. A disturbance in the water announced Commander June's arrival. He swam into the chamber with powerful strokes, his military harness carrying tools made from shaped bone and cultivated metals. His usual calm expression was troubled. "Elder Hana," he said, bowing respectfully. "I bring bad news. Our scouts report a massive fleet approaching, at least 50 ships, larger than anything we have ever seen. They will reach us in 3 days. Hana felt her heart sink like a stone. "What are our options?" June's answer was grim. "We have 12 bioships capable of spaceflight. Our weapons can damage their hulls, but their energy beams can destroy our vessels in seconds. If we fight, we might slow them down for a few hours." "And if we surrender?" "The survivors from Reef's End say the invaders do not take prisoners. They drain the water from our cities and use the empty shells for mining operations. Our people, they cannot survive in the conditions these Dominion beings create." Hana closed her eyes and felt the current flowing through the chamber. Her people had always believed that water connected all life. Perhaps it was time to test that belief. "There is something," she said slowly. "An old legend from the deep archives. Our ancestors spoke of other water worlds, other seas among the stars. They left behind a device, a beacon that could reach across the vast darkness." June looked skeptical. "Elder Hana, that is just a story. Even if the beacon exists, who would answer? We have never found other intelligent life in the waters of space. But we have never looked with enough desperation," Hana replied. "Kai, take me to the deep archive. If the beacon exists, it will be there." The journey to the deep archive took them to the oldest part of Pearl Reach. Here the coral had grown wild and ancient, forming mysterious passages that few still remembered. Hana led them through chambers filled with the history of her people, past walls covered in living memory coral that stored the experiences of long-dead Tidari. In the deepest chamber, they found it. The beacon was unlike anything in their current technology. It seemed to be made from both coral and metal, shaped by sciences their ancestors had forgotten. Strange symbols covered its surface, and it hummed with an energy that felt older than the city itself. "How does it work?" Kai asked, swimming closer to examine the device. Hana placed her hands on the beacon's surface. The symbols began to glow, and suddenly her mind filled with knowledge. She understood, as if the ancestors themselves were teaching her. "It sends our thoughts across the deep spaces," she said in wonder. "Not just our words, but our feelings, our memories. Anyone who receives the message will know exactly what we face." June swam closer. "But Elder Hana, If such a message reaches the wrong beings, it could bring worse danger to our world. Hana looked at her military commander with sad eyes. June, in 3 days our world dies anyway. At least this way someone will know that we existed. Someone will know that we tried to fight. She pressed her hands firmly against the beacon. The device began to pulse with brilliant light, and she felt her consciousness expanding outward. She thought of her people, their beautiful cities, their love of peace and harmony. She thought of the children playing in the kelp forests, the families sharing evening meals in the coral gardens. She thought of their desperate need for help from anyone brave enough to fight in the depths of an ocean world. The message shot out from Aquatica Prime like a spear of pure thought. It raced through the darkness between stars, carrying the hopes and fears of an entire civilization. Hana collapsed, exhausted by the effort, but the beacon continued to pulse. "It is done," she whispered. "Now we can only wait and prepare for the end." As they swam back toward the city, none of them saw the small display on the beacon that showed their message racing toward a blue-green world, where strange beings had spent decades preparing for exactly this moment. On that distant world, creatures that breathed air instead of water were about to receive the call they had been waiting for. The countdown to invasion had begun, but Aquatica Prime was no longer alone in the darkness. High Admiral Tyle stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the blue planet grow larger on the main screen. To his silicon-based eyes, Aquatica Prime looked like a perfect sphere of wasted space. All that water covering valuable mineral deposits made him angry. "Status report," he ordered his second-in-command. "The blockade is complete, Admiral. 52 ships in position. The primitive sea dwellers have nowhere to run." The officer's voice came through speakers since their kind communicated through electromagnetic pulses rather than sound. Tale nodded with satisfaction. This would be the 14th water world the Dominion had claimed this year. The Silicon beings
needed the minerals that formed under ocean floors, and they had no patience for the weak creatures that always lived on these wet planets.
"Begin scanning for population centers," Tell commanded. "We will destroy their cities one by one until they surrender. Then we drain the oceans and begin mining operations. Admiral, we are detecting some kind of energy pulse from the planet's surface. It appears to be a communication beam directed into deep space." Tyle's crystalline features showed amusement. "Let them call for help. No one answers distress calls from water worlds. These ocean dwellers are always too weak to help. Each other and land-based species cannot fight in their environment, far across the galaxy. On a world covered in blue oceans and brown continents, Admiral Minho sat in a deep underwater facility. The Pacific Deep Command Center had been built 3 kilometers below the ocean surface, where no satellites could detect it. For 30 years, Earth's governments had prepared for this moment without telling their own people. "Admiral, we have an incoming alien transmission," reported Lieutenant Kira from her communication station. "It's unlike anything we've seen before. The signal contains emotional and sensory data, along with basic information." Minho swam over to her station. The command center was completely flooded, allowing the crew to work in their specialized underwater gear. Every person here had trained for years to operate in the crushing depths while wearing breathing apparatus that could function in both water and space. "Can you decode it?" Minho asked. Kira's fingers moved quickly over her waterproof controls. "The emotional content is clear. Fear, desperation, hope. I'm getting images of an aquatic species under attack by some kind of space fleet. They're asking for help from anyone capable of underwater combat." Minho felt his heart race. This was what Earth had been preparing for since the first contact protocols were established. Every major power on Earth had contributed to the Deep Fleet project, believing that most alien life would evolve on ocean worlds. "How long ago was this message sent?" he asked. "Based on the signal degradation, approximately 18 days. The source is 47 light-years away." Minho made his decision quickly. "Alert Captain Ara. Tell her to prepare the Soul's Depth for immediate departure. Authorization code, Leviathan Prime." Captain Ara received the message while training, with her crew in the Mariana Trench. Her ship, the Soul's Depth, was one of 12 vessels designed specifically for interstellar aquatic warfare. The ship could operate equally well underwater, on the surface, in atmosphere, or in the vacuum of space. "All hands prepare for emergency departure," she announced over the ship's communication system. "This is not a drill. We have received first contact from an alien species requesting military assistance." Her crew of 30 moved with practiced efficiency. Weapons specialist Yoon began checking the ship's plasma torpedo systems, while navigator Hyun plotted the fastest course to the target system. These were Earth's best underwater warriors, selected from navies around the world and trained in technologies that officially did not exist. The Soul's depth was shaped like a massive submarine, but its hull contained materials that could withstand both crushing ocean depths and the radiation of deep space. Its fold space drive allowed faster-than-light travel, while its bio-support systems could sustain the crew underwater for months. "Captain," Yoon reported, "all weapon systems are operational. Should I prepare the experimental deep strike torpedoes?" "Load everything," Ara replied. "We have no idea what we're flying into." Within 6 hours, the Soul's depth and 11 sister ships departed Earth through underwater launch tubes that opened directly into space. The launch was invisible to surface observers, maintaining the secrecy that had protected the Deep Fleet project for decades. As they traveled through fold space, Kira worked constantly to decode more of the alien message. She learned about the Tadari people, their peaceful culture, and their beautiful coral cities. She also learned about the Dominion, a ruthless empire that specialized in conquering water worlds. "Captain, I've managed to decode their language, structure," Kira reported during their second week of travel. "I can program our translation systems to communicate with both the Tadari and their attackers." Ara studied the information flowing across her screens. The Tadari seemed like gentle beings who had never known war. The Dominion appeared to be everything Earth's military planners had feared they might encounter among the stars, a species that saw other life as obstacles to be removed. "How much time do we have?" she asked Navigator Hyun. "Based on the message timestamp and the Dominion fleet movements, we should arrive approximately 6 hours before they begin their final assault," Hyun replied. "That will have to be enough." "Time," Ara said. "Yoon, I want every torpedo modified for underwater to space combat. If these Dominion ships are not prepared for attacks from below, we're going to teach them why Earth is called a death world." In the weapons bay, Yoon worked with his team to modify their arsenal. Earth's plasma torpedoes had been designed to function in any environment, but they had never been tested in actual combat. The missiles could track targets through water, atmosphere, and vacuum, switching their propulsion systems automatically. "These Dominion ships will not expect attackers that can fight in 3 dimensions," Yoon explained to his team. "They think in terms of space combat or surface bombardment. We can strike from the ocean depths where their sensors cannot track us." As the Earth fleet approached Aquatica Prime, they detected the Dominion blockade exactly where the alien message had predicted. 52 large ships surrounded the planet, preparing for what their communications indicated would be a systematic destruction of the ocean cities. "Take us to the dark side of the planet," Ara ordered. "We go in undetected, establish underwater positions, and wait for the right moment." The Soul's depth entered Aquatica Prime's atmosphere like a falling star, but instead of burning up, its special hull absorbed the heat and converted it to power. The ship plunged into the ocean without a splash, its systems automatically adjusting to the underwater environment. For the first time in Earth's history, human warriors swam in the oceans of an alien world, preparing to fight for beings they had never met. The legends the galaxy told about the terrible death world called Earth were about to become reality. Above them, Admiral Tail prepared to begin his attack, unaware that predators from the depths were already moving into position. The first Dominion plasma beam struck the outer settlements of Aquatica Prime at dawn. From the deep trenches where they had hidden their fleet, the Earth warriors watched 3 beautiful coral cities die in flashes of superheated light. Entire communities that had existed for centuries became clouds of steam and debris in seconds. Captain Era gripped the controls of the Soul's depth as she watched the destruction through her sensors. Around her, the crew worked in grim silence. They had arrived too late to save those outer cities, but they could still prevent the complete destruction of this world. Kira, are you ready with communications? Ara asked. Yes, Captain. I can speak to both species now. The Tidari language is actually quite beautiful. It uses sound, bioluminescence, and water pressure changes all at once. On the surface, Admiral Tell watched the destruction with satisfaction. The primitive sea creatures had not even tried to fight back. This would be easier than he had expected. Begin the second wave, he ordered. Target the larger cities. Let them see what happens to those who stand in the way of the Dominion. Commander June watched the attacks from Pearl Reach's emergency command center. His bioships were hidden in the deepest trenches, but he knew they could not fight the Dominion fleet effectively. Their weapons were designed for underwater hunting, not space combat. Elder Hana, he reported through the Coral Communication Network. They are moving to attack the main population centers. We have perhaps 1 hour before they reach Pearl Reach. Hana's reply came filled with sadness. Then we fight with what we have. Our people deserve to see that we did not surrender without trying. As June prepared to order his hopeless attack, something impossible happened on his sensors. 12 objects were rising from the deepest ocean trenches, moving faster and more smoothly than any Tidari vessel. They did not match any design in their databases. On the Soul's depth, Ara made her decision. All ships, this is Captain Ara. Begin Operation Rising Tide. Show these invaders what happens when they threaten an ocean world. The 12 Earth ships burst from the depths like ancient sea monsters awakening from sleep. Their dark hulls gleamed with water as they breached the surface, then continued rising into the sky. The Dominion sensors focused on space-based threats took precious seconds to detect the new arrivals. Ara opened communications on all frequencies. When she spoke, her words reached both the Tidari cities and the Dominion fleet simultaneously. This is Captain Ara of the Terran Deep Fleet, representing the people of Earth, she announced in perfect Tidari, her words accompanied by the proper light patterns and pressure changes. We have received your call for help, and we answer. Pearl Reach, Hana nearly fainted from shock. The legendary message had actually reached someone and they had come. But who were these Terrans and how could they speak her language so perfectly? Ara switched to the harsh electromagnetic pulses used by the Dominion. Dominion Fleet, this is Captain Ara. You are ordered to cease your attack immediately and withdraw from this system. This world is now under the protection of Earth. On his flagship, Admiral Tael stared at his screens in disbelief. 12 small ships had appeared from nowhere, and their leader was making demands of the mighty Dominion fleet. The arrogance was astounding. What species dares to interfere with Dominion operations, he demanded. We are humans from the world called Earth, Ara replied calmly, and we do not allow the slaughter of peaceful ocean dwellers. Tael accessed his database of known species. Earth appeared as a small notation. Death world, extreme environment, inhabitants unknown but presumed hostile, avoid contact. He had always assumed these warnings were exaggerated. You have made a serious mistake, humans, Tael transmitted. This fleet contains 52 ships. You have 12. Surrender now, and we may allow you to leave. Ara's response was cold as the deep ocean. Admiral, you have made the mistake. You brought a space fleet to fight an ocean war. Before Tael could reply, the human ships demonstrated why Earth was feared across the galaxy. The Soul's depth fired 3 plasma torpedoes that moved through the water, burst into atmosphere, and struck a Dominion cruiser before its shields could adjust. The ship exploded in a ball of fire that lit up the ocean surface. All ships, weapons free, Ara commanded. Show them why we rule the depths. The battle that followed was unlike anything either the Tidari or Dominion had ever seen. The Earth, ships fought in 3 dimensions, diving beneath the waves to avoid return fire, then surfacing at unexpected angles to launch devastating attacks. Their torpedoes could track targets through multiple environments, making them nearly impossible to evade. Weapons specialist Yoon coordinated the assault from his station on the Soul's depth. The Dominion ships are designed for traditional space combat, he reported to Ara. They cannot track us when we attack from below the surface. The Tidari watched in amazement as the strange new allies fought with a ferocity they had never imagined. Commander June ordered his bioships to support the humans, and discovered that the Earth vessels could coordinate with his forces as if they had trained together for years. How do they know our combat signals? June asked his communications officer. They are learning and adapting in real time, Commander. Their technology is somehow translating our bioluminescent commands into their electronic systems. Admiral Tell quickly realized he was facing an enemy he did not understand. The humans fought like predators from the deepest seas, striking from unexpected directions and disappearing before his ships could respond effectively. Worse, they seemed to know exactly how his technology worked while he knew nothing about theirs. Focus all fire on the lead ship, he ordered desperately. If we destroy their commander, the others will retreat. 20 Dominion ships turned their weapons toward the Soul's depth. Plasma beams and particle cannons lit up the sky as they tried to pin down the elusive human vessel. But Ara had spent years training for exactly this scenario. Take us deep, she ordered Navigator Hyun. Show them how Earth warriors fight when cornered. The Soul's depth dove toward the ocean's surface like a falling sword, but instead of crashing, it sliced cleanly into the water and disappeared. The Dominion weapons struck empty ocean, sending up massive columns of steam. From beneath the waves, Ara launched every torpedo the ship carried. The missiles rose from the depths like a school of predatory fish, each one seeking a different target. When they struck, 6 Dominion ships died in seconds. Elder Hana watched the battle from Pearl Reach, tears of gratitude flowing from her large eyes. The impossible had happened. Warriors from across the galaxy had heard her desperate call and risked their lives to save her people. As more Dominion ships exploded above the ocean, she whispered a prayer of thanks to the ancient currents that connected all water in the universe. The sea had called to the sea and Earth had answered. The battle raged for 6 hours, and the ocean around Aquatica Prime turned red with the glow of burning ships. Admiral Tale had lost 12 vessels to the impossible human attackers, but his reinforcements were arriving. 3 more Dominion fleets dropped out of hyperspace, bringing his total force to over 100 ships. Now let us see how brave these Death World warriors are when facing proper odds, Tale growled through his ship's communication system. Captain Ara watched the new enemy ships taking positions around the planet. Her 12 vessels had performed better than anyone had dared hope, but they were now outnumbered 10 to 1. Several of her ships showed damage from the intense fighting. Captain, reported Weapons Officer Yoon, we have expended 60% of our torpedoes. The Busan's wake has lost primary power, and the Incheon strike reports hull breaches. Ara nodded grimly. Earth's warriors were winning individual battles, but the Dominion could afford to lose ships while she could not. It was time to change. Tactics. All ships, this is Captain Ara. We are switching to boarding operations. Commander Hyun, prepare assault teams for underwater ship infiltration. In the depths below, Commander June led his Tidari bioships in formation with the human vessels. The cooperation between the 2 fleets had grown stronger with each battle. His people's living ships could heal damage automatically, while the human weapons provided devastating firepower. The Earth warriors fight like the ancient sea spirits from our legends, June told his crew. They strike from the depths and vanish like ghosts, but their weapons are very real. Elder Hana coordinated the evacuation of civilian populations, from the upper city levels to the deep-sea shelters. As she worked, she maintained communication with Admiral Minho on Earth through the ancient beacon. Your warriors are magnificent, she transmitted across the vast distance, but I fear they cannot hold against such numbers forever. Minho's reply came hours later due to the communication delay. Captain Ara is one of our finest commanders. If anyone can find a way to victory, it will be her. Keep your people safe and trust in Earth's children of the deep. The new phase of battle began when Commander Hyun led the first human boarding action against a Dominion dreadnought. The assault team used specially designed pods that could launch from underwater, travel through space, and penetrate enemy hulls. No one in the galaxy had ever seen such tactics. Hyun and his team of 20 warriors breached the Dominion ship through its underwater loading bays. The silicon-based crew had never expected enemies to attack from below while in space. The humans flooded sections of the ship deliberately, creating environments where they could fight effectively while the Dominion forces struggled. "Remember your training," Hyun told his team as they moved through the ship's corridors. "We can fight in water, air, and vacuum. They can only fight in one environment at a time." The boarding action turned into a nightmare for the Dominion crew. The humans moved through their ship like deadly fish, using the flooded sections as highways while picking off defenders who could not follow them into the water-filled areas. Meanwhile, the Soul's Depth engaged 3 Dominion cruisers simultaneously. Ara used the ocean itself as both shield and weapon, diving deep to avoid enemy fire and surfacing at unexpected locations to launch surprise attacks. "Yoon, target their command ships," she ordered. "If we can eliminate their coordination, their numbers become a disadvantage." The modified torpedoes struck with devastating precision. Unlike traditional space weapons, they could adjust their approach angle by diving through the ocean and attacking from below. The Dominion shields, designed to protect against attacks from space, offered little defense against weapons rising from the depths. As the battle intensified, Admiral Tal made a decision that would haunt him forever. Unable to accept defeat from beings he considered inferior, he ordered his fleet to begin indiscriminate bombardment of the planet's surface. "If we cannot have this world, then no one will," he declared. "Begin total oceanic sterilization. Boil away their seas and leave nothing but rock." The Dominion ships turned their massive energy weapons toward the planet itself. Beams capable of destroying mountains began heating the upper layers of the ocean. Steam rose in great clouds as entire sections of sea began to boil. This escalation triggered something in the human warriors that their enemies were not prepared for. Every person in the Earth fleet had trained their entire lives to protect ocean worlds. The deliberate destruction of a living sea was an unforgivable crime. Captain Ara felt a cold fury unlike anything she had experienced in years of combat. All ships knew priority. These monsters want to murder an entire ocean. Show them what happens when they threaten the waters of life. The human response was swift and merciless. Captain Ara authorized the use of Earth's most closely guarded weapons, kinetic spears that could punch through any known shield technology. The weapons had been developed specifically for enemies who threatened planetary extinction. The kinetic spears launched from the Soul's Depth like bolts of lightning. They moved too fast for Dominion sensors to track and struck with the force of small meteorites. 3 ships died instantly, their hulls split open like broken shells. Commander Hyun, still fighting inside the captured dreadnought, received new orders. "Secure the ship's weapon systems and turn them against the fleet. These creatures have chosen planetary destruction. They will face the consequences." Working with desperate efficiency, Hyun's team fought their way to the ship's command center. The final battle with the Dominion crew occurred in a section that Hyun had deliberately flooded. The silicon-based beings could not function in the water-filled environment, while the humans moved through it like their natural element. As Hyun took control of the dreadnought's weapons, he opened fire on the ships attempting to boil Aquatica, Prime's oceans. The sight of a Dominion vessel attacking its own fleet sent shockwaves through Admiral Tail's remaining forces. Commander June led the Tidari bioships in coordinated attacks with the human fleet. His people had overcome their peaceful nature, driven by the need to protect their world from complete destruction. The living ships grew new weapons in real time, adapting to the battle as it progressed. "Elder Hana," June reported, "the Earth warriors have turned the tide. The enemy fleet is in chaos, but many ships are still trying to destroy our oceans." The battle reached its climax as more human boarding teams seized control of Dominion vessels. Lieutenant Day led an assault on Admiral Tael's flagship, determined to end the threat at its source. The assault team penetrated the flagship through techniques that no space-based military had ever conceived. They created their own entry point by detonating charges that flooded sections of the ship, then used those flooded areas to reach the command center. Admiral Tal found himself facing Earth warriors in an environment where his technology could not function effectively. The humans had turned his own ship into an underwater battlefield. As the sounds of combat echoed through his flagship, Tal finally understood what the database warnings about Earth really meant. These were not just warriors from a death world, They were beings who had learned to make any environment their weapon. The fate of Aquatica Prime hung in the balance as the final confrontation approached. Lieutenant Day moved through the flooded corridors of Admiral Tail's flagship like a shark, hunting in familiar waters. His assault team had turned the mighty Dominion command ship into an underwater maze where only Earth's warriors could fight. Effectively, Team 2, secure the power core, Day commanded through his underwater communication system. Team 3, take the weapons control. We end this here. Admiral Tell retreated deeper into his ship as the sounds of battle grew closer. His silicon-based form sparked with electromagnetic fury as he realized that primitive beings from a death world had outmaneuvered his entire fleet. How is this possible? He demanded of his remaining officers. They breathe air, yet they fight better underwater than spaceborne races fight in vacuum. The answer came from his science officer, who had been studying the human tactics throughout the battle. Admiral, their world is covered in water, but they evolved on land. They have learned to master both environments completely. They do not just adapt to hostile conditions, they use them as weapons. In the flooded command center, Day confronted the Dominion Admiral directly. The human warrior moved effortlessly through the water-filled space while Tyel struggled to function in the alien environment his own ship had become. Surrender your fleet, Day said simply. Your war against the ocean worlds ends now. Tyel's response was to activate his personal energy weapon, but the device short-circuited in the water. The admiral who had conquered dozens of worlds found himself helpless against a single human warrior in an environment that should have been impossible. You cannot defeat the Dominion, Tyel said, his electromagnetic voice distorted by the water. We are an empire of thousands of worlds. More fleets will come. Day's reply was cold as the deep ocean. Then they will face the same fate as yours. Earth protects the waters of life, and we have been preparing for this war longer than you realize. Meanwhile, Captain Ara coordinated the final assault from the Soul's depth. The human fleet had captured or destroyed most of the Dominion vessels, but scattered ships were still trying to escape with word of Earth's involvement. No survivors leave the system, Ara ordered. The galaxy cannot know about our capabilities until we are ready to reveal ourselves. The pursuit was swift and decisive. Earth ships could track fleeing vessels through fold-space jumps, a technology the Dominion had never encountered. One by one, the escaping ships were hunted down and destroyed before they could carry news of humanity's underwater space fleet. Commander June led the final sweep for survivors, his Tidari bioships working in perfect coordination with the human vessels. The cooperation between the two species had become seamless during the battle. Captain Ara, June transmitted, this is unprecedented. In one day, our peoples have learned to fight as one fleet. My ships have adapted to your tactics as if we had trained together for years. Ara smiled as she watched the last Dominion ship explode in the distance. Commander June, I think this is the beginning of something important. The galaxy's ocean. Worlds have been alone too long. On the flagship, Lieutenant Day stood over the defeated Admiral Tail. The silicon-based being had finally stopped struggling against the water that filled his command center. Why? Tail asked in genuine confusion. Why did your people travel across the galaxy to fight for beings you had never met? Day considered the question carefully before answering. Because the ocean calls to the ocean, Admiral. Your people see water worlds as obstacles to overcome. We see them as homes to protect. The battle for Aquatica Prime was over, but the cost had been significant. 3 of Earth's 12 ships had been destroyed, taking 90 brave warriors with them. The Soul's depth itself was badly damaged, its hull scarred by Dominion weapons. Elder Hana swam up from the deep shelters to survey the aftermath. The surface of her world was littered with the debris of destroyed ships, but the cities below remained intact. Her people had survived thanks to warriors from across the galaxy who had answered their desperate call. Admiral Minho's voice reached her through the ancient beacon, transmitted from Earth's underwater command centers. Elder Hana, on behalf of all Earth, we are honored to have fought beside your people. What happens next is your choice. The formal meeting took place in Pearl Reach's Great Council Chamber. Elder Hana and Commander June met with Captain Ara, and the surviving Earth officers. The chamber had been modified to accommodate both air-breathing and water-breathing beings, creating an environment where both species could interact comfortably. The Dominion will send more fleets when this one fails to report, Ara explained through Kira's translation systems. They see water worlds as easy targets because most aquatic species are peaceful by nature. Hana's response carried the weight of centuries of Tidari wisdom. Then perhaps it is time for the ocean worlds to stand together. Your people have shown us that peace and strength can coexist. The negotiations that followed would reshape the galaxy. Earth and Aquatica Prime signed the first Aquatic Defense Pact, establishing principles that other water worlds would soon adopt. The humans would provide military protection and advanced technology, while the Tidari would share their bioengineering knowledge and serve as ambassadors to other aquatic species. Commander June was appointed as the first Joint Fleet Commander, working directly with Captain Ara to develop new tactics that combined human technology with Tidari bioships. Their initial success led to rapid innovations that neither species could have achieved alone. Your ships heal themselves, Ara observed during a joint training exercise. Ours can fight in any environment. Together, we create something the galaxy has never seen. As the Earth fleet prepared to return home, carrying news of their first successful alien alliance, Lieutenant Day approached Captain Ara with a question that many of the crew had been wondering about. Captain, do you think we did the right thing? We revealed our capabilities to the galaxy. There will be consequences. Ara looked out at the beautiful coral cities of Pearl Reach, where Tidari children played safely in the kelp forests once again. Day, for 30 years, Earth prepared for the day we would meet other species. We could have waited in our depths forever, or we could answer when someone called for help. I know which choice I can live with. The final ceremony took place at the site of the ancient beacon. Elder Hana and Admiral Minho, speaking across the vast distance between worlds, dedicated a memorial to the warriors from both species who had died protecting the waters of life. Today, the ocean worlds are no longer alone, Hana declared. Today, we learned that the currents that connect all water also connect all life. When one sea calls in distress, all seas answer. As the human fleet departed Aquatica Prime, they left behind something precious: hope. Word began to spread through the galaxy's hidden networks that the water worlds finally had protectors. The legendary warriors of Earth had risen from the deep, and they would answer any call from the ocean depths. Admiral Tail, imprisoned on Aquatica Prime, watched the Earth ships disappear into fold space. In his cell, filled with the water he had tried to destroy, he finally understood the truth that would soon terrify the Dominion. Earth had not just won a battle. They had declared war on anyone who threatened the galaxy's ocean worlds. And unlike the peaceful species the Dominion was used to conquering, these warriors from the depths would never stop fighting. The age of unprotected water worlds was over. The age of Earth's guardians had begun.